This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you so much for joining us this Friday edition of CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. President Donald Trump took a victory lap holding his first rally since the Russia investigation wrapped up. He held the rally in the battleground state of Michigan. The president told a crowd of thousands in Grand Rapids, the collusion delusion is over. President Trump also called the investigation nothing more than a sinister effort to undermine his presidential election victory and to sabotage the will of the American people.
The economy is roaring. The ISIS caliphate is defeated 100%. And after 3 years of lies and smears and slander, the Russia hoax is finally dead.
It took 22 months, 2,800 subpoenas, and the interviews of 500 witnesses. In the end, Special Counsel Robert Mueller cleared President Donald Trump of collusion with Russia. But the Democratic chairman of the House Intelligence Committee is holding firm to his claim of collusion. Our Mark Martin is on this story. He's following it for us and joins us right now. So Democrats want the full report. Do you think they're going to complete their own investigation, if you will?
It sure looks like it at this point, Ephraim. Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, is staying on message, saying, give us the full report. In fact, she believes that Attorney General William Barr's summary is condescending. I'm going to quote from her here. She says, show us the report and we can draw our own conclusions. We don't need you interpreting for us. It was condescending. It was arrogant, and it wasn't the right thing to do. And Democrats have hinted that they want Barr to release the full report by this coming Tuesday. He has already said that he will not meet that deadline.
Now, Republicans are also calling for Adam Schiff, the head of the House Intelligence Committee, to step down after the report. Why is that?
Well, because Schiff continually says that there is collusion, and because of that, Republicans are saying that they have no faith in his ability to discharge his duties in a constitutional manner, and basically they're calling for his immediate resignation. Now, he has fired back, and he has said, I'm going to quote from him here, he says, my colleagues may think it's okay that the Russians offered dirt on a Democratic candidate for president as part of what was described as the Russian government's effort to help the Trump campaign. You might think that's okay. I think it's immoral. I think it's unethical. I think it's unpatriotic. And yes, I think it's corrupt and evidence of collusion. So basically, Schiff is doubling down here. And because of that, because he continually accuses the president of collusion, Republicans are saying, you need to resign.
All right. Many moving parts in this story. We'll continue to follow. Thank you so much, Mark. A federal judge in Washington struck down a Trump administration rule that would have helped small businesses save money under the Affordable Care Act. The ruling was the second big defeat this week for the president's health care agenda. Another judge Wednesday blocked Medicaid work requirements in Arkansas and Kentucky. Meanwhile, Dr. James Dobson's Family Institute has won a big legal victory over Obamacare. A federal district court ruled Dobson's Family Institute and its Family Talk radio program does not have to provide health care coverage that leads to abortion. The state of New York is suing the billionaire family behind the prescription drug OxyContin. New York is joining a growing list of state and local governments claiming the maker of OxyContin, Purdue Pharma, has sparked the nation's opioid crisis. New York State Attorney General Letitia James says the lawsuit contains detailed allegations about the Sackler family, who owns the company.
New York is in the midst of a crisis that has ravaged our communities and families. A crisis that is claiming lives, young and old, all across. A crisis that we firmly believe was created and perpetuated by the manufacturers and distributors of opioid drugs.
I want to turn now to Chicago, where officials have ordered Jussie Smollett to pay $130,000 to cover the cost of an investigation into his report of an attack that police say was staged to promote his career. The figure covers the overtime work by more than 24 detectives. Smollett was indicted on more than 15 counts earlier this month for alleging men wearing MAGA hats attacked him. All charges, though, have been dropped. President Donald Trump tweeted the FBI and Department of Justice will review the case, calling it, quote, an embarrassment to our nation. South Dakota's Republican Governor Kristen Noem has signed several pro-life bills into law that she says will crack down on abortions. The bills require abortionists to give women the chance to see a sonogram and to hear the heartbeat of their baby. It will also make it a Class B felony to cause an abortion against a patient's will, impose reporting requirements on abortions, and create an abortion consent form. One bill also requires parental consent before there are orders to withhold resuscitation on a baby. Meanwhile, an abortion rights group in Mississippi is asking a federal judge to block a law that would ban abortions once a baby's heartbeat is detected. The Center for Reproductive Rights expanded a lawsuit it filed last year to challenge a Mississippi law that banned abortion after 15 weeks. Republican Governor Phil Bryant signed the bill last Thursday. The group claims the bill is blatantly unconstitutional. Bryant responded on Twitter, writing, we will all answer to the good Lord one day. I will say in this instance, I fought for the lives of innocent babies, even under the threat of legal action. A religious liberty watchdog is calling on the federal government to investigate possible discrimination against Chick-fil-A. First Liberty Institute wants Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao to look into a decision by the San Antonio City Council denying the food chain the chance to open a store in the city's airport. The letter alleges the City Council voted to exclude Chick-fil-A. It also cites blatantly discriminatory statements by council members against Chick-fil-A's religious beliefs and said any federal grants should be reviewed and taken away if they are funding discriminatory policies. And coming up here on CBN NewsWatch, Israel is bracing itself for the one-year anniversary of the Great March of Return on the Gaza border. We will have more on that from Israel when we come back. Stay with us.
CBN presents The I Wills of God, your path to overcoming fear and anxiety.
We're going to talk about some of the incredible promises God has made to His children.
In Pat Robertson's newest teaching, you'll discover the I Wills of God. I will rescue him, protect him, answer him, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, satisfy him with long life, show him my salvation, and see amazing stories of God's promises in action.
What I felt was loved and treasured.
God spared my life twice in 3 days.
The good Lord had given me a second chance.
Break free from stress and despair.
The Lord doesn't want you to live in fear, but to know the rewards given to those who love God.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit cbn.com. The I Wills of God, your path to overcoming fear and anxiety.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
The Israeli military is beefing up its troop presence along the Gaza border in preparation for the one-year anniversary of the Great March of Return Saturday. Hamas is urging tens of thousands of people to gather at the border to face off with Israeli soldiers. Clashes at the border have been marked with violence as many Gazans throw explosives at IDF troops. The Hamas leader said in an address to Gazans last year, the goal is to infiltrate Israel and to forcefully remove Jews from the land. Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now from Jerusalem. So, Chris, what's the latest you've been hearing from the Gaza border?
Well, right now, Ephraim, it's quiet, but it is tense and it's potentially explosive. There will be tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of Gazans on the border today and tomorrow, and they're protesting this idea that they want to come back and take over land that they believe is Palestinian land. So we'll see what happens, but it could really blow up. Right now, we were there earlier this week. We were in Sderot, which is just across the border from Gaza. We saw a large buildup of IDF armored personnel carriers, troops, and tanks. A potential going in as a land incursion. We're not sure about that, but it's a potential explosive situation right there on the border. We'll see what happens, particularly this weekend.
Indeed, we'll be watching. How important is the direct declaration signed by President Trump to recognize Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights?
Well, Ephraim, it was huge and historic. In the comments that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made at the White House, he compared President Trump to King Cyrus from the Bible. Arthur Balfour, who had the Balfour Declaration in 1917, and also President Harry Truman in 1948, all men who had a really historic part to play in the founding of the State of Israel, or ancient Israel. And that's how historic he thought it was. Geopolitically, it's huge, Ephraim, because what this does, it says the United States is standing behind Israel for this strategic part of land, and especially now as Iran tries to build a military presence inside Syria and actually along Israel's northern border on the Golan Heights. It's very important that the United States is standing with them. However, the rest of the world is anything but. The European Union, almost every country condemned it. The United Nations Security Council is against it as well. But to have the United States stand with Israel is huge, historic, geopolitically, a very important step for Israel.
Chris, Israeli elections will be held in less than a week. Where do the latest polls show in terms of where Israeli people are leaning?
Well, right now, the polls are favorable towards Benjamin Netanyahu. You have to realize that the Knesset has 120 seats. So any of the parties that gain more than 60 seats or can form a coalition government, really, those are the people that you have to watch. So right now, the polls are saying about 65 seats for those on the right, about 55 seats on those on the left. So it actually looks pretty good for Benjamin Netanyahu right now, but it's just less than 2 weeks away. That could be an eternity here in Israeli politics. What also has helped is Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is a recent visit by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. This declaration by President Trump really, I think, is sort of wind behind the back of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as he goes into these elections where he can say to the electorate, listen, we're really close with the United States. These historic moves are really good for us. And I'm the one with the strong relationship with President Trump and those among the Trump administration.
No, real busy time. Real quick before we let you go, what do you have for us this evening on Jerusalem Dateline?
Well, at Jerusalem Dateline, we have a background story on what's been happening on the Gazan border. We were right there on the front lines, and we give you sort of a behind the scenes of what the idea faces with all these thousands of Palestinians coming to the border and what they do to try to protect lives. We also have a historic background analysis of how important the Golan Heights is to Israel and how they came to have it in the first place during the 1967 Six-Day War. We have a story about right here in Jerusalem, about an archaeological discovery, about a Jewish village about the time of Jesus. And actually, some of this village was probably used to have sacrifices to the Second Temple 2,000 years ago. So that's some of the things we have, and I think it's going to be a great show.
All right, lots to look forward to. Thank you so much, Chris. I want to remind you at home that you can see Jerusalem Dateline this evening at 9:30, and you can find that on the CBN News channel. Still ahead, the story of a former Planned Parenthood director turned pro-life activist hits theaters. We're going to give you a look at the movie with the cast and the crew and tell you why it's already stirring up some controversy. Stay with us for this story.
Parents, the Superbook Bible app is a great way to get your child reading the Bible because in today's busy world, we can use some help. The free Superbook Bible app has fun stuff your kids will love. They'll have a blast learning the Bible, playing great games, watching cool videos, discovering heroes in the Bible. They'll have fun while they learn God's Word. The Superbook Kids Bible app, available now.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Discover the I wills of God. I will rescue him, protect him, answer him, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, satisfy him with long life, show him my salvation.
What I felt was loved and treasured.
God spared my life twice in 3 days.
The good Lord had given me a second chance.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit CBN.com. The I wills of God, the latest teaching from Pat Robertson.
Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
Unplanned, the highly anticipated film about a former Planned Parenthood director turned pro-life activist, is being called the movie for such a time as this. It is not without controversy, though. Assigned an R rating by the Motion Picture Association of America. Our Charlene Aaron has reactions from the cast and the crew.
Abby Johnson is in the other room.
Unplanned takes viewers inside the abortion industry with this real-life story of a former clinic director for Planned Parenthood.
Sorry to bother you, but they need an extra person in the back room.
In 2009, Abby Johnson walked away from the Texas clinic after watching an abortion via ultrasound. Much of her personal life is played out on the big screen, including the time she herself had 2 abortions.
It's a very vulnerable place to be, to sort of expose some of your greatest wounds and hurts to the public. But, you know, in the end, it's, I mean, this film's really not about me. I didn't do this so that Abby Johnson would be a household name. I did this so that, you know, God's redemption, that would be known in every household.
Actress Ashley Bratcher delivers a powerful performance in her role as Johnson. She credits divine help with the scene involving what Johnson experienced after taking an abortion pill to terminate her second pregnancy.
That was nothing but the Holy Spirit. I like to go into a room that I'm going to perform in, especially if it's supposed to be my bedroom or my bathroom. I want to go in before the scene starts so that I know where my stuff is, because I would in real life. And I remember walking into that room for the first time, just by myself, there's no one else around, and wanting to lay on the floor and cry because I could just feel the presence of God so strongly. It was like our prayer team had just been walking that set. They knew how critical this scene in particular was, and they had just been walking through it and praying all over it. And I had done tons of research. I knew what the physical impediment was going to have to entail, so that when I got into the moment, I could really just try my hardest to emotionally think what she must have been thinking and feeling like she was gonna die from that.
That scene is one of two reasons the Motion Picture Association of America gave the film an R rating, calling it, quote, bloody and disturbing. The film's writers and directors, Carrie Solomon and Chuck Konzelman, believe the R rating is biased and political.
I want to delve just a little bit into the fact that it did receive an R rating. Mm-hmm. Were you anticipating that? Were you surprised? What's your response to that?
Hollywood is about politics. It's not about making movies. It's sad. It's about propaganda with Hollywood. And, we are pro-life guys in a pro-choice town. And so we are not liked, and the movie is not going to be liked. So to expect that they would give us a fair rating, okay, not going to happen. So we kind of knew that we wished for the best, understood that the worst could possibly happen. And when we got the R, didn't surprise us.
I live in a country where my daughter can go out at 13. She can get an abortion without parental consent, but she can't go to see this movie.
Johnson addressed those concerns in a letter to parents.
I'm a parent of a 12-year-old daughter who, has seen the film, and I was getting a lot of questions. I think that we have a responsibility to protect children, but also to be very open with them about these sorts of issues. And I think especially with the R rating, there were a lot of people coming to me and saying, Abby, is this okay for my 14-year-old? Because people wanted to bring their children in, but they needed some guidance.
Given recent radical abortion laws in New York and other states, Carrie and Konzelman say the timing of Unplanned couldn't be better.
This is sort of our last wake-up call, I think, politically, because these laws are being enacted now. We, as Americans, as people of faith, one of two things is going to happen. We're either going to rise up and say this is wrong, or we're going to become accustomed to it, and it's going to become the new norm.
Actress Robia Scott, who's also an ordained minister, plays the head of Texas's Planned Parenthood. She says in the end, the film's message is one of hope and forgiveness.
As a minister, I love that it's not preachy. This is not sort of your typical Christian-y, cheesy, preachy, let me throw a lot of scriptures at you, sister. That's not this film. This is a quality story. It's beautifully shot. It's beautifully written. It's beautifully acted, if I may say so myself. And it's just compelling. It's a compelling story that, regardless of what side you stand on, pro-choice or pro-life, you cannot come out of the movie the same way as when you entered.
And it's not a film that's condemning people.
It's not condemning. There's no shame. There's no pointing fingers. Really, honestly, the essence of the film is hope. It's restoration, that regardless of what choices you've made, because look, we've all made choices, and there's restoration that God forgives, and that you can move forward in your life.
The makers of Unplanned say their ultimate desire is that a movie would make a difference in saving the lives of countless unborn babies. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Unplanned opens in theaters today. Coming up, this week's Unplugged movie review takes a look at the new movie hitting theaters. It's a children's classic, Dumbo. Stay with us.
When you give, smiles grow bigger. When you care, homes are happier. When you comfort, the hurt goes away. When we all come together to love, miracles happen.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
Come home to the Southern Gospel Station from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern Gospel favorites. CBN Southern Gospel. Available now at cbnradio.com.
Check out the CBN News Daily Rundown podcast each weekday with me, Caitlin Burke. Click on the show tab at cbnnews.com where you can listen and subscribe.
The live-action remake of the 1941 Disney classic Dumbo is in theaters now. So how does this new version rate for family friendliness? Here's our Unplugged movie review.
The movie Dumbo tells the familiar story of a baby elephant with ears that are just a little bit too small. I mean, big.
Welcome, baby Dumbo. We're all family here, no matter how small.
In fact, his ears are so large and oversized that they make this little guy something of a laughingstock in an already struggling two-bit circus. Now, circus owner Max doesn't want to throw away his investment in this peculiar pachyderm, but he can't come up with anything more than calling the elephant Dumbo and just making him a laughable part of the clown act. Now, things change when Dumbo's young caretaker, Millie, accidentally discovers that this elephant's enormous ears tend to make him a little bit aerodynamic.
You have magic.
And the little circus now is able to make an incredible comeback with their new flying elephant. But that popularity also draws the attention of a wealthy theme park entrepreneur who may not have the cute little elephant's best interests in mind.
With me. Together, we can soar on that elephant's wings.
The film is nowhere near as magical or involving as you might be expecting. In fact, it can even be a little bit intense and scary for younger viewers.
You can do it, Dumbo. Show him.
This live-action remake of Disney's classic animation is certainly packed with top-shelf production values and some charming visuals. And it even has some nice encouragements for kids who feel as if they don't fit in.
Fly.
This elephant tail flies, but never really soars. So I'll give Dumbo a 3.5 out of 5 for family friendliness. For an in-depth review on this film or anything else at your local box office, visit us at PluggedIn.com. Plugging you into the movies, I'm Jake Roberson for Focus on the Family's Plugged In Movie Review.
Time now for your Friday Faithful, and today I leave you with this thought. God's grace and mercy are new every morning, and in them are all you need to move through what the day holds. With that word, I encourage you to make this a fabulous Friday. Remember that you can find more on the issues you care most about always at cbnnews.com, and you can now catch CBN News programs anytime throughout the day on the CBN News channel. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here. You can do that by emailing us, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Certainly hope you'll join us again right here next time. Have a fabulous Friday and a wonderful weekend. Goodbye, everybody, and God bless.